welcome back to our channel, Soap Opera Aficionados. It is a fantastic day to dive deep into the glamorous, scandalous, and ever-dramatic world of Los Angeles fashion. Grab your favorite beverage, settle in, and let us unpack the latest explosive developments that are shaking the very foundations of our favorite daytime dynasties. The heavy, ornate oak doors of the Forrester Creations executive office slammed shut with a resounding thud, a sound that echoed through the pristine corridors with the terrifying finality of a judge's gavel. For Donna Logan Forrester, that single, reverberating noise marked the catastrophic collapse of her entire world. Just moments prior, she had been subjected to the ultimate humiliation, escorted out of the very heart of the company by the man she loved more than life itself. Eric Forrester's eyes, usually so warm and full of tender affection for his beloved wife, had been entirely devoid of warmth. Instead, they were filled with a profound, shattered disappointment that cut far deeper than any screaming match ever could. Ridge Forrester's cold, unforgiving glare had only added to the agonizing sting of her expulsion. Donna found herself standing in the hallway, her breath catching in her throat, her mind violently spinning as she tried to process the sheer magnitude of what had just transpired. She had been cast out, branded a traitor, and stripped of her dignity, all because she had chosen to honor a misguided loyalty to her sisters over the sacred trust of her marriage. As Donna made her way down the glass-paneled elevator, the paralyzing shock that had frozen her tears began to thaw, rapidly giving way to a searing, unprecedented rage. The descent felt like a physical manifestation of her spiraling life. She stared at her reflection in the mirrored doors, barely recognizing the woman looking back at her. Her usually flawless, bright demeanor was gone, replaced by smeared mascara and eyes that burned with a volatile intensity. She had not asked to be burdened with this toxic secret. It was Katie Logan who had aggressively sworn her to silence, manipulating their sisterly bond to protect a ruthless corporate coup. But more than Katie, it was Hope Logan Spencer whose reckless, unchecked ambition had ignited this entire inferno. Hope's desperate need to step out of the Forrester shadow and claim her own independence had created the explosive secret that just detonated in Donna's face. The realization hit Donna with the force of a physical blow. Her beautiful, loving marriage to Eric was the collateral damage in Hope's selfish war against Steffy Forrester. The drive from the prestigious Forrester Creations building to the towering glass and steel monolith of Spencer Publications, which now housed the newly minted Logan headquarters, was a blur of frantic, blinding fury. Donna's hands gripped the steering wheel with such white-knuckled force that her joints ached, but the physical pain was nothing compared to the agonizing heartbreak tearing through her chest. Every red light, every moment of Los Angeles traffic only served to stoke the fires of her indignation. She kept replaying the image of Eric's devastated face, juxtaposed sickeningly with the mental image of the live stream she had just watched. She had seen Hope striding down the catwalk, draped in the glittering, priceless hope for the future diamond, soaking up the thunderous applause of the fashion elite. Hope was basking in the golden glow of ultimate victory, while Donna was left to burn in the ashes of her ruined life. The sheer injustice of it all pushed Donna past the breaking point of her naturally sweet and accommodating disposition. Meanwhile, inside the sprawling, ultra-modern offices of Logan headquarters, the atmosphere was nothing short of electric. The air was thick with the intoxicating scent of absolute triumph and the crisp, bubbly aroma of expensive champagne. Katie Logan and Bill Spencer were holding court, their faces illuminated by the glow of computer monitors displaying sales figures that were climbing at an astronomical, unprecedented rate. The servers were literally crashing under the sheer volume of advance orders pouring in from around the globe. It was a corporate masterstroke, a flawless execution of business espionage and strategic marketing that had completely hijacked the international press corps brought to town by Eric's haute couture show. At the center of this triumphant whirlwind stood Hope Logan Spencer. Still radiating the glamorous, high-octane energy of her successful runway debut, Hope was being toasted as the visionary savior of the new Logan Empire. Yet, beneath the glittering surface of Hope's momentous victory, a turbulent ocean of anxiety was already beginning to violently churn. Even as she clinked champagne flutes and accepted the fawning praise of the newly hired Logan staff, Hope's stomach was tied in agonizing knots. She had just publicly admitted to a swarm of bloodthirsty reporters that her mother, Brooke Logan Forrester, had been kept entirely in the dark about her defection. Hope knew, with a terrifying certainty, that she had just unleashed a cataclysmic storm. Liam Spencer hovered nearby, his eyes filled with a desperate, protective concern as he tried to mentally shield his wife from the inevitable fallout. Hope was trying desperately to force a smile, to live in this moment of hard-won independence, but the crushing guilt of her deception was a heavy, suffocating weight on her chest. She had achieved her ultimate professional dream, but the personal cost was beginning to cast a long, dark shadow over the celebration. That shadow materialized into a physical reality the moment the double doors of the Logan executive suite were violently thrown open. The heavy glass doors crashed against their stops with a startling bang, instantly shattering the celebratory atmosphere. The music seemed to abruptly cut out, and the lively chatter of the employees died in their throats as they turned to face the entrance. There stood Donna Logan Forrester. She was a chilling, unrecognizable vision of maternal fury and heartbreak. Her hair was disheveled from her frantic journey, her designer clothes looked rumpled, and her chest heaved with heavy, ragged breaths. But it was her eyes that truly commanded the room. They were laser-focused, burning with a visceral, unadulterated rage that completely stripped away her usual bubbly, affectionate persona. The employees, sensing the dangerous shift in the room's atmospheric pressure, instinctively took a collective step back, parting like the Red Sea to clear a direct path between the enraged aunt and her triumphant niece. Katie, momentarily blinded by the euphoria of her corporate victory, took a tentative step forward, her face breaking into a confused, welcoming smile. She foolishly assumed that Donna had somehow managed to escape the Forrester wrath and had come to join the celebration of their family's newfound success. But Donna did not even acknowledge Katie's presence. Her burning gaze was locked entirely on Hope. Hope, still clutching a half-empty glass of champagne, felt the blood drain completely from her face. The glittering HFTF diamond around her neck suddenly felt like a heavy, suffocating chain. As Donna marched across the room, her high heels clicking aggressively against the polished hardwood floor, the sheer intensity of her anger seemed to suck the oxygen out of the space. Hope shrank back, her triumphant posture dissolving into the frightened, guilty stance of a child who knows they have committed an unforgivable sin. When Donna finally spoke, her voice was not the soft, comforting tone her family was so accustomed to hearing. It was a raw, jagged weapon trembling with unshed tears and a lifetime of shattered trust. "Eric threw me out," she announced, the words tearing from her throat with a devastating, agonizing vulnerability. The sheer pain in that simple statement sent a visible shockwave through the room. Donna pointed a trembling, accusatory finger directly at Hope's face. She unleashed a torrential downpour of suppressed emotion, screaming about the utter humiliation she had just endured in front of Ridge and the rest of the Forrester loyalists. She laid the blame for her destroyed life entirely at Hope's feet. With every word, Donna dismantled the glamorous facade of the Hope by Logan launch, exposing it as nothing more than an act of selfish, calculated treachery. She accused Hope of being a ruthless opportunist who had blindly sacrificed the family's integrity and Donna's own marriage on the altar of her insatiable personal ambition. The climax of the confrontation arrived with a sudden, explosive violence that no one in the room could have possibly anticipated. Donna, a woman known throughout Los Angeles for her gentle spirit and peacemaking nature, completely snapped under the crushing weight of her heartbreak. Before anyone could intervene, before Hope could even raise a hand in defense, Donna lunged forward. With a swift, powerful motion fueled by pure, unadulterated agony, she brought her hand across Hope's face. The resounding, sharp crack of the slap echoed through the cavernous office space like a gunshot. It was a visceral, shocking physical manifestation of the emotional violence that Hope's secret had inflicted upon their family. The sheer force of the blow snapped Hope's head to the side, sending a spray of champagne flying from her glass to stain the pristine white rug beneath their feet. For what felt like an eternity, the room was suspended in a state of absolute, paralyzed shock. Hope stood frozen, her trembling hand slowly rising to cover her rapidly reddening cheek. Her wide, tear-filled eyes stared back at Donna in sheer, uncomprehending disbelief. The physical sting of the slap was sharp and immediate, but it was entirely eclipsed by the profound psychological trauma of being struck by her sweet, loving Aunt Donna. The surrounding staff gasped in unison, some covering their mouths in horror. Liam took a sudden, aggressive step forward, his protective instincts flaring, but he was rooted to the spot by the sheer, unprecedented nature of the family conflict unfolding before him. Hope could not speak. She could not defend herself, because deep within the darkest corners of her conscience, a terrifying voice was whispering that she entirely deserved this violent retribution. The sharp sound of the slap finally shattered Katie's paralysis. The architect of this entire corporate war rushed forward, physically thrusting herself between her enraged sister and her traumatized niece. Katie held her hands up, her voice trembling as she desperately tried to de-escalate the volatile situation. She pleaded with Donna to calm down, attempting to justify the secret by citing the ruthless nature of the fashion business and the necessity of protecting their investment from Steffy's interference. But Katie's business-minded excuses fell on deaf ears. To Donna, Katie's words were nothing more than empty, meaningless corporate jargon that completely ignored the catastrophic human cost of their actions. Katie's intervention only served to highlight the massive, insurmountable chasm that had suddenly ripped open between the women of the Logan family. Donna forcefully shoved Katie's placating hands away, her eyes never leaving Hope's tear-streaked face. When Donna spoke her final words, the screaming rage had been replaced by a cold, chilling finality that was infinitely more terrifying. She delivered her ultimate, devastating ultimatum, her voice dripping with a profound, unshakable disgust. "I will never, ever forgive you for this," Donna vowed, each word striking Hope like a physical blow. "You turned me into a liar in the eyes of the man I love. You destroyed my marriage, Hope, and for what? For a headline, for a dress." The declaration hung in the air, a toxic, suffocating cloud that officially severed the deep, familial bond that had always united the Logan women. Donna was not just angry, she was fundamentally broken, and she was making it abundantly clear that the damage Hope had inflicted was permanent and irreparable. As Donna's words sank in, Hope's entire internal world completely collapsed. The adrenaline of the runway, the thrill of the independence she had fought so hard to achieve, all of it instantly turned to ash in her mouth. She had convinced herself that she was merely fighting a righteous war against Steffy Forrester's tyranny. She had justified her deception by telling herself she was simply claiming her rightful place in the fashion industry. But now, staring into the shattered, tear-filled eyes of her aunt, Hope saw the undeniable, horrifying truth of the blood on her hands. Her unchecked ambition had not just alienated her mother. It had actively, brutally dismantled Donna's life. The crushing weight of her guilt finally broke through her defenses, and Hope let out a quiet, agonizing sob, her glamorous facade entirely stripped away to reveal a terrified, remorseful child. Without another word, Donna turned on her heel and marched out of the Logan executive suite, her posture rigid with a newfound, bitter resolve. The heavy glass doors swung shut behind her, leaving a profound, suffocating silence in her wake. The celebratory atmosphere of the office had been completely annihilated. The half-empty champagne flutes scattered across the desks now looked absurd, mocking symbols of a victory that had come at a catastrophic price. The computer monitors continued to flash with incoming orders, the financial success of Hope by Logan growing by the second, but no one in the room was looking at the screens. The ultimate corporate triumph had been entirely overshadowed by the devastating, visceral destruction of a family's core foundation. The stakes in Los Angeles have never been higher, and the battle lines have never been drawn with such tragic, personal consequences. The Logan family, once a fiercely united front against any external threat, is now officially fractured from within, bleeding from self-inflicted wounds. Eric Forrester sits in his empty office, his heart broken by a betrayal he cannot comprehend, while Hope Logan Spencer stands in the center of her new empire, realizing that her throne is built entirely on the ashes of her family's trust. With Brooke Logan Forrester's wrath still looming on the horizon like a dark, terrifying storm, this unprecedented civil war is only just beginning. Stay tuned, because the drama on the bold and the beautiful is reaching a boiling point, and no one will escape the fallout.